Schrock Innovations presents the Midwest #1 independent computer repair company with service centers in Lincoln, Omaha, Papillion, Des Moines, and across the country via the Schrock desk. This is Compute This.
Good morning, folks, and welcome into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. As the big voice said there, service centers all over the place, Omaha, Papillion, Lincoln, Des Moines. Wherever you need help, however you need it, whether it's in the service center, over the Schrock desk, over the phone, we do it all at Schrock Innovations, and we did a lot of it this week. Oh, wow. All right, so let's get into this stuff real quick here because we have a lot to cover on the program today. I definitely want to make time for calls today because I know I'm going to have some. If you missed the program last week, it is available on our website at SchrockInnovations.com. You can click on radio show there and you can listen to all the previous week's shows and after Schrocks. They're also available on iTunes podcast as well as Rumble and YouTube. So you can pick them up wherever your choice of a viewing pleasure is if you don't do the Facebooky thing, because we are live right now at Facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. You can check it out there as well. All right, so last week on the program, I warned you about this upcoming 22H2 update that was rumored to be hitting in the previous week, and it did hit. We're going to tell you about that, more on that in the show, a lot more on that. It was a real donkey show, let me tell you. We also told you about the Uber security breach last week, how serious that was, how to overcome any battery drain that you may experience that's associated with updating your Apple iOS on your device to iOS 16. Covered that on the program. Also, we talked about the reliability of solid states versus mechanical hard drives, the lifespan, the reliability, and the speed trade-offs that are involved in all of the above. So it was overall, it was an informative show last week with a lot of information, not a lot of pitching and selling, right? There's not going to be a lot of pitching and selling today. Today is all about telling you what happened to what you bought before. So 22H2 was the donkey show of the century. It would have made Ringling Brothers, like, he would have been thrilled by this because there was more than 3 rings. We have 4 service centers, and each service center can have up to 3 Schrock desk sessions per service center simultaneously. So this was like a 12-ring circus going on, because here's what happened. First off, Microsoft threw a curveball when they released the 22H2 update. We assumed that they were going to release Windows 10 and Windows 11 at the same time. Why did we assume that? Well, we've never had a simultaneous release like this before. We've never had a situation before where there were 2 actively supported operating systems, both receiving updates that were both called the same thing. So we figured if you're going to do all that, you may as well release them at the same time, right? Microsoft said, no, silly rabbit. We're going to push the Windows 11 one right now, and we're going to save Windows 10 for October, because that's just how we roll. Wow, the Safe Upgrade software was not coded to handle a situation where one of the updates was available and the other was not. So our coders went back to work to modify the code, basically, 20-hour code rush to get that code modified and up to snuff so that it is showing or directing people to the proper updates. As a result, the early versions of the code, the coders missed a couple places that said 21H1, or it still said Windows 10, because, this was all designed for a Windows 10 update. And so we had to change all those things. And we thought we caught them all, but there's a couple that people phoned in and told us about, so we're correcting those as time goes on. So that was the first curveball. We got through that one relatively unscathed. It took 20 hours to get through. It takes about 8 hours to upload everything and test everything anyway. So we had both of those things going on at the same time. Came out in pretty good shape. So then we get to the download phase. About 80% of the customers who purchased Safe Upgrade were able to download and install the software at home on their own without the intervention of a technician or helper, basically. That was not the case for 20% of the people. What kind of errors did people experience? Okay. Let me roll back for just a second to remind everybody a couple facts about Safe Upgrade. I got an email from a customer that was a little confused about some of this stuff, and I want to make sure I explain it really well because apparently I haven't done a good job of communicating this in the past, and I want to make sure I communicate it very accurately now. We call it Safe Upgrade, not Sure Upgrade. Safe Upgrade will update your computer in a safe manner. And if it is determined that your computer cannot, for whatever reason, be safely updated, it bails on you. So safe upgrade didn't work for 20% of the people roughly that tried to run it. 80% of the people, it ran just fine. And that's great. Everything worked exactly as intended. So what happened with these 20% of the people that it wouldn't update? All right, so this is where it gets fun. There's a lot of different reasons why the update would fail. The majority of the failures that occurred among the 20% of the people, it just got to the end and it said safe upgrade couldn't install the software. So then we would get these customers on a Schrock desk and we would get a remote installation of Windows 11 going. We'd go do it directly from Microsoft.com, eliminate any possibilities of issues or errors or anything like that. We download the update, takes forever. We install the update, takes forever. It comes up and says this computer is not compatible with Windows 11. It doesn't meet the minimum system requirements. Please run the PC Health Check app to determine how your computer can be improved to meet the minimum system requirements. Except I'm running Windows 11. So I'm pretty sure it's compatible. I'm installing the new version of Windows 11. Okay, well, biscuits. Maybe the new version has different hardware requirements than the original version of Windows 11, curveball number 2. We don't know that that's the case at this point. We don't think so, but it sure is weird that we run the PC Health Check app, an app that you really don't need on the computer, but we run that app and it comes back and says, congratulations, your computer is 100% compatible with Windows 11. Learn all about the exciting new features of Windows 11, blah, 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 blah. Well, thank you. I'm already running Windows 11. I knew it was compatible. But then after we ran PC Health Check, we could install the update. So once again, Safe Upgrade was not designed to run PC Health Check first, which doesn't do any checking of the health. It's literally, it checks the minimum system requirements of the computer to see if you can run the update or not. So that was fun. So we get through that. We had one customer yesterday who called into the Omaha Service Center who had a Intrepid laptop, a 10th gen Intel current Intrepid laptop, right? It was about a year old. We sold thousands of these computers. Not a single one of them had a problem installing the update. All of them on Safe Upgrade went fine. I checked, but not hers. It says her hardware is not compatible, but she has the exact same hardware as everybody else. Go figure that one out. There's some other reason it's not working. It's just Microsoft software isn't telling us the right reason. It's just spitting out your hardware is not compatible. And on the Schrock desk, I had her on all day yesterday, trying everything that I could do, start to finish, to get that computer to install this update. And it just told me the same thing, no matter which way I ran it, that it was not compatible. The hardware was not compatible. So that was great. Then we had customers who purchased Safe Upgrade for their computers running Windows 11, and somebody else besides us installed Windows 11 on their computers, which, there's nothing wrong with that. People have buddies or friends in the IT world. They can install Windows 11 on stuff, except when they force install Windows 11 on incompatible hardware. You might recall way back when Windows 11 was released, there's a lot of computers in the pipeline that were technically not compatible with Windows 11. A lot of HPs, a lot of Dells, a lot of Microsoft computers that just didn't meet the minimum system requirements, but Microsoft didn't work in advance due to the pandemic, they claim, with these manufacturers to make sure that everything was in line for the release, and that they had flushed their pipelines of all these older, obsolete computer systems, the cheaper systems, basically, to make room for the more expensive ones that are going to run Windows 11. So Microsoft provided some registry overrides. There's some registry keys that you can import into the registry that will bypass all the safety and health checks and all the system requirement checks and just let you run Windows 11. And guess what? 99.9% of the time, even on older hardware, it runs just fine. The problem is, and this is why we did not do this for customers, even if they requested it, was we were worried we didn't know what was going to happen when one of these feature upgrades came out. Because if it checks the system requirements again and you don't comply, you won't be able to update it. And then you're going to have to reinstall Windows 11 from scratch if you want the update. And that appears to be the case for everybody who had a forced installation. So if you have an older Dell or an older HP, I shouldn't say older. If you have a newer Dell or newer HP or newer Toshiba or, any major brand computer, Sony, whatever, and it's running Windows 11, but its hardware is technically not compatible with Windows 11. You have, a 7th gen processor or something along those lines. you're not going to be able to ever install this update. And you just bought that computer running Windows 11 from that major manufacturer who used a hardware bypass to get you into that computer. You'll be good for 2 revisions of Windows, and then you'll be obsolete and you won't get updates anymore. Is that why Microsoft is changing the update schedule potentially, going to one every 3 years rather than every year or every 2 a year? You know, how they've done it in the past. Could it be that maybe they want to make certain that these people who bought these computers get at least 3 years out of them before they're told that they have to go suck an egg? You know, that it's just me conjecturing. You know, I don't know this, but that would make sense to me. So getting back to Safe Upgrade, we call it Safe Upgrade, not Sure Upgrade. So when you come into the service center, if you walk in off the street with your Windows 11 computer and say, Mr. Schrock, I'd like you to install 22H2 for me, I'd say $95, please. Less than an hour of labor. It's pretty much unattended, so we charge a little less for it. Perfect. If you do it yourself at home, I don't have to have a person up front to check you in. I don't have to print a work order. I don't have to carry it into the back. I don't have to blow it out. I don't have to put it on the bench. I don't have to pay a technician to install the update for you. I don't have to call you back. I don't have to print a new work order. I don't have to have a person up front to give you your computer back when you come pick it up. See, all those things cost money. And so when you do it yourself at home, you're getting it for $60. So you're saving $35 by doing it yourself at home, which is the cost of me providing all those services to you in the service center. So if for whatever reason you end up having to bring it into the service center, even if it's because the update won't install, you have to pay that $35 difference as if you were just coming in off the street and having us do it in the service center. So with Safe Upgrade, the way that our workflow is organized looks like this. 1, you try to run it yourself at home. If it's successful, wonderful. If it's not, then you're directed by the program to contact the service center for help. So you call us, email us, whatever. We get back to you and we do a Schrock Desk session where we try to get it installed for you. 99% of the time we can get it installed over the Schrock Desk. There's some hiccup or glitch or something that is special to your computer that has to be overcome, and we get through that. The other percentage of people have to bring it into the service center because there's nothing we can do on the Schrock Desk. Those people, we had one customer who came into the service center in Lincoln who was really upset about that she had to bring it in. And, you know, I'm not going to lose a good customer over $35. You know, that would be stupid. But on the other hand, you know, that's how it's always been every time we've run Safe Upgrade forever. And I've used the phrase in the past, this is like an insurance policy to make sure the upgrade gets installed safely. It's an insurance policy against you having a $250 repair bill when it blows up your computer and you bring it in and have us work on that instead. That's the insurance policy. It's not an insurance policy that the update will be definitely installed without any hiccups, glitches, or problems. So Safe Upgrade is out there to mitigate the risk of you having a catastrophic computer failure as the result of the update. That's the purpose of Safe Upgrade. So I want to make sure I'm really clear about that so that when, you know, next time around, or if you were thinking about buying one for this round, next time around when you go to buy one, we don't know when the next time will be because Microsoft hasn't told us when the next feature upgrade is coming yet. But the next time this happens, at that point, you understand why we're doing what we're doing. 888-250-2091 is the number to join us on the program. Let's jump into those phones real quick. Tom, welcome to the show. How can I help you today on Compute This?
Yeah, I had a question about the new customer 1-hour free diagnostic.
Yes, sir.
That I ran into a situation on. First of all, I went to turn on my computer like I've done in the past, and it was just deader than a mackerel, so I assumed I blew a fuse or something. And so I brought it in under that setup, which I thought was great. Anyway, when they checked it out, they checked the diagnostics on it. Everything tested fine, they said. And they turned it on. Everything was perfect. So it looked like I was, you know, in great shape for free to get my laptop working and stuff. All right, well, it's not a laptop. It's a tower.
Okay.
But anyway, so then I pick it up. I'm all smiles, grinning ear to ear. And I got home and plugged it back in. It's the same as it was before I brought it down there. It was deader than a mackerel. And so I was thinking, you know, do I take this back down there and have it tried again for free, or is it would it not be free the second time? Being, the way I see it, it's not really. There's something else going on that didn't get found.
Sure. So when you come into service, whether you come in under a new customer coupon or you come in and you pay the regular freight, whatever the reason is however you come to us, you have a 30-day warranty on all the work that we do. So if you are in a situation like you're in right now where it doesn't work at home, you bring it into the shop, we hook it up, we test everything, and it works fine in the shop, and then we send it back home, and it didn't boot one time, not even once, it immediately just did not work again.
Right.
So when you hit the power button on that tower, do you get any lights, any fans, anything at all?
No. The only thing I've noticed is on the rear where the cord plugs in, there's a little blue light that blinks. And, but on the front of the computer where I normally push it on, it's like an OI symbol or whatever. Mm-hmm. It usually turns right on and lights up blue.
Right.
But it doesn't do anything. It's just like it's unplugged.
Gotcha. And then the blink, is this an HP by any chance?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, gotcha. The blue light on the power supply kind of gave it away. All right, so in these situations, what can happen, if you have a power supply that's failing, that's what it sounds like the situation is here. My guess is if we replace your power supply, it would be good to go. A power supply replacement's $150 for that HP, and there's an additional hour of labor to do it. So we're talking about, $275 to fix that. Now, when we bring it into the service center, we hook it up to a low voltage power tester. It's a device that we unplug everything from your motherboard, we plug it into this tester, and it tells us is the power supply putting out the appropriate amount of power for all the different rails? Is it responding quickly enough? Is it doing everything the way it's supposed to? It passed all of those tests for us. So what happened when you disconnected the computer from power and brought it into us, and then we disconnected everything from the motherboard? Everything got the opportunity to drain down real dry. All the capacitors got drained down. We plugged it all together again, and we fire it up, and hey, look, it turns on. How about that? We shut it down, we reboot it, we do all these things to it, and we can't get it to fail. So we don't have any diagnostic information that would point us to a bad power supply other than what you have told us happened to you, and it's working fine now. So the question then, if you put yourself in our shoes, is do we charge this customer $275 to fix a problem that we can't prove they have?
Right.
Or do we congratulate them on maybe sometimes things get loose and need to be reseated. Maybe there was just a loose connection to the board or something, and when we unplugged it and plugged it in, that was enough to secure everything. And that happens. So okay. So you took it back home, and then boom, you're in the same boat. So what we have now is it's called a failure under load. That blinking light on the back of your power supply is indicating to you that it's drawing too much power. So it's possible there could be USB devices hooked up to the computer at home that are not hooked up to the computer when we have it in the service center. Things like printers, external hard drives. And it's weird because it seems like those things use so little power it shouldn't make a difference. But when you're on the knife's edge, that little bit of power is enough to cause the power supply to say, I can't provide enough power to the computer to boot. So it sounds to me like what you have is a power supply that's definitely failing. If you bring that back into us again, we're not going to charge you another hour of labor to diagnose it again. We're going to say, okay, hey, you called the radio show. You told Thor the power light's blinking. We know that that's an HP indicator that the power is not sufficient. It wasn't blinking in the service center, which probably means there's something else going on at home that's drawing just a little bit more power than it is in the shop. Therefore, it's not turning on. So let's replace the power supply, send it home with the customer. Worst case scenario, then you take it home with the new power supply in it and it doesn't turn on. Well, then you're like, oh, I don't want to have this power supply anymore. I didn't need it,
Right.
But on the first visit like that, we never want to sell a customer something they don't need. That's in our training materials, actually. I'm very clear with new hires that you're never going to be asked to sell a customer something they don't need. And I never want you to ever sell a customer something they don't need. It's the quickest way to lose a customer because you always get found out. It's not, it's a better policy to be honest about what people need, service their needs, and then when they need something, they'll come back. So in this case, we didn't want to send you out the door with a power supply that we weren't sure you needed, but we couldn't prove that we had a diagnostic reason to put in. Now, with what you've told me here, I apologize. You have to bring it back in because I know that's a pain in the tuchus, but at least now we know, and we can replace it, and we know we're doing the right thing for your particular problem. And the good news is but in that diagnostic hour, we didn't just diagnose the power supply, we tested everything else. So that means that the motherboard is good, the power supply was supposedly good, the hard drive tested good, the memory on the motherboard tested good. So there's no other lurking hardware problem that would lead you to maybe question whether or not you should replace the power supply.
Yeah, and I was asking, if they could upgrade it to something, more modern or whatever, and they told me right there that that's not probably an option.
Yeah, with HPs it's tough because the motherboards are coded for specific processors. So we can usually change the memory. We can increase your memory. We can, if you have a mechanical hard drive, we can definitely upgrade you to a solid state hard drive, and that will give you a dramatic performance improvement. But aside from that, the processor is the processor, and we can't really upgrade that. So if you're not Windows 11 compatible, you can use the computer until 2025, which is about 3 more years. So plenty of time. 3 years is the lifespan of a solid state hard drive, roughly. So, you put a solid state and a power supply in that thing, and you've got a wonderful computer for the next 3 years, and then you can make a decision to purchase something new at that point to run Windows 11.
Yeah, and I don't really use it for internet at all, but I use it for photos and with the printer and scanner and all that other stuff. So to get it back up and working is what I need to do, but I don't really need it upgraded to newer software or anything. But that might be an option if, they look at it again and decide that, what we're looking at for prices and stuff. So
Yep, absolutely, Tom. Thank you very much for the call. I appreciate you joining us on the program this morning. And like I said, I'm sorry that we have to bring that back into the service center, but it was the right diagnosis given the information we had, and we didn't want to sell you something we didn't know that you needed. That's never a good thing to do. 888-250-2091. Got to take a break. I'm a little bit late. When we come back, guys, Maintenance Checkup Sale is in the final days. We're going to tell you all about it coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations Data Recovery Lab saves the data the other guys can't. The next time your hard drive, camera card, or flash drive fails, let Schrock get your data back. External hard drives are handy. You can back up multiple computers to them or even use them to move lots of data from one computer to another. Computer users have been buying the same old external hard drives for years. While our computers have been getting faster, we still do backups that take hours or watch epic progress bars creep by to move files. Schrock wanted more for our customers, so our innovators created the fastest external hard drives on the planet. Schrock modular storage devices are up to 50% faster than Seagate or Western Digital externals and are modular in the truest sense of the word. We can create whatever size and speed of drive you need for all of your needs, and all modular storage devices come with a data restoration guarantee. If you use our drives for backing up and your computer's hard drive fails, we'll restore your backup to your repaired computer for free. Fast, simple, and flexible technology solutions from Schrock Innovations. It's what we do. Compute This pro tip number 753. Have you ever wondered how the bad guys always seem to find a way into your computer? Gone are the good old days of email worms and I love you viruses. Nobody wants to steal your data anymore, or in many cases even your identity. Today's cybercriminals want to sell access to your computer or hold your data for ransom. The bad guys are exploiting zero-day vulnerabilities to break into systems that are supposed to be hack-proof. These vulnerabilities are always newly discovered, and the criminals have a brief time to exploit them before they get patched. Antivirus and firewalls do not prevent these attacks, but you can minimize your computer's exposure by installing all security patches as quickly as possible. The average computer needs 12 patches a week. That's not including the ones that are automatically delivered to your computer. Boost your cybersecurity by staying on top of it manually, or use a patch installation program like Secure Updater to get your computer the patches it needs. This pro tip is brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back into Compute This. My name's Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company, where we've been very busy over the last week getting that 22H2 update installed for our customers. 600 installations of 22H2 done between Safe Upgrade and the service centers. We did about 180 of them by hand over the Schrock desk in 2.5 days. So it was intense there for a while. So if you were trying to call the service center for support or maybe something even unrelated to 22H2, we did our best to keep up with everybody. There were some hold times that were longer than normal. Our Des Moines phone system, apparently, if we have 2 people on hold and a third person calls in, it just says goodbye and hangs up. We've never had that many people on hold before. So we're like, oh, that's bad. Fonzo, he goes, wait a minute. So you're telling me if you have one person on the phone and 2 people on hold and another person calls in, it says goodbye? He's like, how? I don't have enough phones to test that. Like, let me call from my cell phone, call from my wife's cell phone. Thor, I need you to call from your cell phone. And then who's the last person that's going to call in and say goodbye? And so anyway, so if you did experience something like that, I want to apologize for that. It was definitely unusual. We don't usually have that many people on hold, or we get them off of hold pretty quickly, but the Schrock Desk sessions take a little bit longer to get attached to. 888-250-2091. That's 888-250-2091 is the number to join us on the program. We are also live on Facebook at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. So in the middle of everything going on with 22H2, we are still in the final days of a preventative maintenance checkup sale. One of the things, so the trends that I'm seeing right now is around 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, so 2019, that was 3 years ago. So around 2019 was the first year that we did a solid state upgrade special. That is where we did no labor in January to take out your mechanical hard drive and replace it with a solid state drive. And people love it. I mean, literally that sale is probably one of our most popular upgrades that we do because it takes an old slow computer. Even like I upgraded a Big Sur Mac yesterday in the Omaha Service Center. It's technically an obsolete Mac, but it's working fine. She has software she runs on it that runs on Big Sur. She wants to keep using it. So we put a solid state in it, and the thing runs like a champ now. It's amazing. So a solid state hard drive, even in an older Mac, can really breathe new life into a computer. One of the things that people don't understand about solid state hard drives is that they do wear out over time. There are factors and things that you can do to prevent that from happening, like don't fill them all the way up. You have to leave at least 20% available space so it can load level and do all the things it needs to do. If they get full, they wear out faster. But after about 3 years, they started about 600 megabytes a second. And then we call a failing drive 300 megabytes a second because that's the point where it's actually slower than a mechanical hard drive. And so I had some computers coming in for maintenance checkups that had solid state drives. Everything tested great. The hard drive itself tests 100% healthy, meaning it's not lost any capacity. It's storing data. It's doing the job the way they want it to do it. But the reason you have a solid state is because it needs to be fast. So when it comes in at 72 megabytes a second, yeah, we got to replace that. That's on the cusp of it's going to be a failed drive within 6 months. And that's one of the powerful things about the maintenance checkup. A lot of people say, Thor, I have Drive Advisor, I have Secure Updater, I have a Schrock Desk subscription. Why do I need a maintenance checkup? There are some things that we just can't automatically check. And one of them is the read-write speed of your solid-state hard drive. You don't want us checking that every other day. Once every 6 months is plenty because those checks are intense on the drive and they wear it out. So when you come in for a maintenance checkup, we do test the speed of your solid-state drive to ensure that it's running properly. So one thing I want to make sure of, when you drop a Schrock-built computer off in the service center, be sure to ask the person at the front desk, am I still under warranty? Before we diagnose the computer. Because, if you decide to extend your warranty at the front desk before we diagnose the computer, and then we find your hard drive is bad, we're going to replace it under warranty. As opposed to us finding it after you check in the computer, where you pay $300 to have us replace it and then buy an extended warranty. So little tips like this, make sure that you're always under warranty with a Schrock-built computer. Not because we expect them to fail, but because we expect to provide good service to you. And the way we do that is by doing stuff for free whenever we can. And the warranties that we offer are refundable. So you get your money back if you don't use it. And if you do need it, it just saves you a ton of money. So if you haven't purchased a maintenance checkup certificate yet, maybe you don't have the time to get in right now, you got life going on, totally understand. You can go to our website, SchrockInnovations.com, and pick up a certificate good for any time in the next 6 months. If you have a certificate and you haven't made it in yet, We've made it through. You have a lull here in between. We don't know when they're going to release 22H2 for Windows 10. We know it's going to be in October. We don't know if it's October 1st or October 30th. My guess would be toward the end of the month. That's just a guess. But we have a window here where you can bring your computer in for a maintenance checkup and get it back in a relatively quick amount of time without having the safe upgrade getting in the way. So I'd encourage you to take advantage of that if you have one of those certificates. 888-250-2091. Going to take our bottom of the hour break here. When we come back, Kevin, your call, as well as a new Windows 11 security feature that's defending your PC against brute force attacks. Yes, this is a brand new security feature exclusive to Windows 11. We're going to tell you all about it coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations repair technicians also make house calls. Make an appointment and let us bring our award-winning computer support right to your home or business. Schrock Innovations has spent nearly 2 decades working to make your technology life easier, and the all-new SchrockInnovations.com is no exception. Now you can order new modular computers and solid-state laptops directly from our website, secure your computer with our virus-free guaranteed semantic endpoint software, find innovative new technologies like our modular storage devices, and get free help and tips. Take a look at the special section to find sales on one-of-a-kind items, display models, refurbished units, and our latest special offers. Swing by the Compute This page to watch TV segments and archived radio shows, or even get one-on-one help through the Schrock Desk. As always, we respect your privacy, so we secure our website with the latest encryption technology and only the most secure payment methods. You can pick up your purchases at any of our 3 service centers or have them shipped directly to your door. The new SchrockInnovations.com makes technology simple. It's what we do. And now Compute This Pro tip number 373. Everyone knows we're supposed to back up our computers and then check those backups periodically to make sure they're working. So why don't most people do it? Lots of people have different ideas about what backing up means. Is it copying files to a flash drive? Is it using a fancy backup program? And how do you know it's working anyway? Windows makes backups easy through free software that's already on your computer. Open your control panels and click Update and Security. Select Backup and choose from all of the available options to get a regular, reliable checkup. You'll need something to back up to, like a Schrock modular storage device or some other backup hard drive. Backups usually run once a week, but you can always change the frequency. The best part is that if your backup ever fails, you'll see a notification in the lower right corner by your clock telling you something's up. Backing up your important data has never been easier, so take a moment to back up your computer today. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
I'm Karen McHugh. Out in the Atlantic, Tropical Storm Ian continues to intensify as the once quiet 2022 hurricane season suddenly heats up.
There's 3 other storms that we're watching out across parts of the Atlantic. We're at that peak of hurricane season, but this is Ian. Things are have set the stage for rapid strengthening, and this is about to go over where we've got kind of the biggest heat content anywhere in the Atlantic basin. Water temperatures that are really warm, really deep, and that's the fuel that these storms will really explode with. And because the storm is about to go over that, the Hurricane Center is forecasting rapid intensification throughout the day today to a major hurricane by the time we get to tomorrow.
Fox meteorologist Rick Reichmuth. In Florida, millions are preparing for the arrival of Ian Thursday or Friday. The storm has forced President Biden to cancel a planned campaign trip to the state on Tuesday. America is listening to Fox News.
Now, the News Radio 1110 KFAB Weather Watch.
Mostly sunny and breezy this afternoon. We'll have a high of 76. Northwest wind at 10 to 20. Could gust as high as 30 miles per hour. Clear and 48 overnight tonight. Sunny, still breezy, 72 on Monday. And then Tuesday, sunshine once again, a high around 72. There's your forecast. I'm Roger Olson.
Guys, welcome back in. Halftime's over. Hope everybody got their potty breaks in, got their snack bowls refilled, because it's time for the second half of Compute This. 888-250-2091. If you're just joining us on the program, quick recap. Microsoft released 22H2 update for Windows 11 a few days ago. They did not release the update for Windows 10. If you are running Windows 10 and you try to run your Safe Upgrade software, it's going to tell you it's not time yet. So I want to make sure nobody gets confused about that, because if you're running Windows 10, your time will come next month in October, and you get to have your special time then. So yes. So the good news here is that a lot of safe upgrade licenses are becoming available because of the Windows 11 users have used their license and then they're moved through the system now. So as they do that, those licenses will come available again for Windows 10 users. And then if you need to purchase one, we were sold out briefly there. If you need to purchase one for your Windows 10 computer to make sure you get the update safely, it'll be available for you there. 888-250-2091. Kevin, welcome to the program. How can I help you today on Compute This?
Hi, Thor.
Good morning.
I went ahead and downloaded, and it wouldn't install several times.
Okay.
So I wrote an email through your website, and then I sent an email through my own, just copied service at Schrock.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a week ago, and I would have expected at least, I was going to call in because if it isn't ready to update, it isn't ready to update. But I just think it was a poor result that I couldn't even gotten a system response saying need to call the desk, blah blah blah. But I've gotten nothing, and if nobody's checking the email, you should just disable it.
Which service center did you attempt to email?
I sent it to your contact us.
Yeah,
I
but
put my name, my phone number, I put my message in there, and then I get a system response of a copy of what I've sent you. I guess that's
right. But there's a drop down where you select which service center to contact.
Yeah, I did Omaha.
That's what I was asking. Which service center did you contact? Because I've been working in the Omaha Service Center all week, and I know that we've responded to every email that we have received.
Then I did it, and then I just copied it over.
Okay.
But in any regard, the way this rollout, you were really crying wolf last week, so we quickly download. And Microsoft isn't shoving it at me. I've not had any of the icons for a forced update, but this download won't run. It says my hard drive isn't right, and I have Secure Updater. I have a holiday special from 21. So anyway,
okay.
just a point of reference. If somebody sends a contact through that website, even if you didn't select a service center, if nothing else, asking for more follow up.
I will check.
This is just a little thing, no big thing, but
it's a big thing, Kevin.
Service,
yeah, no, it's a big thing. And I will test that. It never occurred to me to try to see if the system would allow me to send the email without selecting a service center. And if that's the case, then I will get that fixed so that coding doesn't allow that to happen. Because I know that we did have our response times were slower than normal. It was taking us up to 24 hours to get back on emails, but we did respond to the emails. In fact, I had a front desk who came in and worked yesterday on Saturday just to make sure everything was caught up in Omaha. So we should be good, but thank you very much for the call, Kevin. But one of the things I want to point out is if Safe Upgrade detected that your hard drive was not working right, that's why the update's not installing. So if it says your hard drive is bad, that's why it's not installing, and that's the reason it's not going through. But what I'm going to do, Kevin, is I'm going to make sure I am going to send an email to the Omaha Service Center with your name and phone number to make sure that we get you a call to look into this and see what's going on with your computer to see if it is a bad hard drive. If it is a bad hard drive, that Drive Advisor is detecting, and that's why the update is not going through. That's it. Like I said, it's not Sure Upgrade, it's Safe Upgrade. And yes, when we cry, you say we're crying wolf about it. When Microsoft rolls out these updates, the rhyme or reason and the distribution schedule is not shared with anyone. So, for example, some customers, like my computer at home, is a custom-built computer running a Threadripper processor with 128 gigs of RAM in it. It's not a common build, and I got the prompt to install the update, like the moment it came out. My Asus laptop, my holiday special from last year, it never did get the prompt to install. And it's a mass manufactured laptop. So Microsoft is pushing this out in stages, and we don't know who's going to get it first. So every day that goes by, the likelihood that it is going to pop up on your screen and say, do you want to install it? yes or cancel. Or do you want to cancel the installation? Yes or cancel. And then you click the wrong button, and then you're installing it all of a sudden, or it auto reboots and installs. This is what's going to happen eventually to people. So Safe Upgrade, the whole purpose of Safe Upgrade is to make sure that people get the update in their computer without the side effects of it going sideways. One of the things that I'm always adamant about is I don't like to take money from customers for services that they're not getting. And so if you don't feel that Safe Upgrade did anything for you, I'm telling you, if it's telling you your hard drive is bad and that's why it's not going to let you install the update, that's exactly what it's designed to do. That's Safe Upgrade. And again, this goes back to me maybe not explaining it really well on the radio, and I can take accountability for that. But if that's the case, we want to see your computer in the service center so that we can get the hard drive replaced before it dies. That would be a bad thing to happen, obviously. Thank you for the call, Kevin. I appreciate you. I genuinely appreciate you sharing the concerns with me. Also letting me know about that form. It didn't occur to me to try to not fill in the form and send it and see if it goes through. And if it does go through without a service center selected, I'll make sure we get that corrected. 888-250-2091. So there is a new security feature in Windows 11 that is improving security against brute force attacks. Now, what is a brute force attack? A brute force attack is an attack where a bad guy is trying to get into your computer, which is password protected now because of Windows 11. And as they're trying to get in, they just try different passwords over and over and over. Password 1, password 123, password 1234, password 123 exclamation mark. They just start trying every possible combination they can in a brute force attempt to guess your password with common passwords. Windows 11 or Windows 10 will allow a bad guy basically to programmatically pound your system with password requests. There is not a lockout or a timeout or anything. You just boom, 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 boom. Because sometimes customers don't know their password and they'll be typing in their password over and over and over again and it doesn't work. And you don't want to lock them out until you have to wait another 60 seconds before you can try. So what Windows 11 does is it differentiates between a human entering a password and a programmatic entering of a password. If something programmatically, like automatically, tries to enter a password on your computer and it's trying to enter password after password after password, it imposes a 60-second lockout between the passwords, the password attempts, which in effect destroys the ability of the bad guy to brute force attack your computer and improves your security. This is a feature that's only available in Windows 11 at this point. A funny thing, nobody is telling us what is going to be in the Windows 10 22H2 feature upgrade. So it's a feature upgrade. It's supposed to add new features, but they won't talk about what's in it yet. Like literally nobody knows what's in 22H2 for Windows 10. Is it all this stuff that Windows 11 is getting? We don't know. But this new feature as of now is only available in Windows 11. It's just one more reason to look at Windows 11 if you're looking for a secure computing environment. 888-250-2091 is the number to join us on the program. And of course, if you have any questions, comments, anything like that, you can give us a call. We'll put you in the drawing for a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate as well. All right, we're going to take our final break of the program here. When we come back, I have an interesting story for you. Is working from home as productive as working from the office? No one's really, during the pandemic, everybody started working from home. And then, some people said they wanted to stay at home and some people didn't. And you had news anchors that were literally they were putting TV studios in their bedrooms in their house, with the automated cameras and everything. It's like, so do we want people to work from home still? Or do we want them back in the office? Do people want to work from home or do they want to come back to the office? Well, we actually have a study now from Microsoft that tells us exactly. Number one, they polled employees and asked them, what do you think? Then they polled management and asked them what they think. And then they asked a series of questions, which I found very, very informative that didn't support the subject headline of the story at all. The story was, basically people can be as productive outside of work as they are at work. But some of the statistics in the story kind of led me to go, So I want to hit you with these stats and get your opinion. Can you be as productive working from home as you are working from the office? We're going to cover that in your calls coming up next on Compute This.
Update all of your third-party apps on your computer with Secure Updater. It keeps all your apps running smoothly and helps block viruses. Download it for free today at secureupdater.com. Some people like desktops for their power and upgradability, but nothing rivals a laptop for computing on the go. But why should you have to sacrifice performance for portability? The innovators at Schrock want our customers to have it all, so we created a new kind of laptop, the solid-state laptop from Schrock Innovations. Solid-state laptops are built using the same frame and mainboards as regular laptops, but we've removed half of the moving parts while more than doubling the computer's speed. The result? Laptops that boot to Windows in 6 seconds or less, respond instantly to your commands, and can survive drops that put most laptops into the data recovery lab. Starting at only $499, solid-state laptops give you speed, reliability, durability, and performance for the same price most people pay for a cheap disposable laptop. The next time you're looking for a laptop, check out the solid-state laptops at SchrockInnovations.com or visit any of our service centers. Simple, solid, fast technology is what we do at Schrock. Compute This Pro Tip 299. There are enough mothballed computers in U.S. homes to give one to every man, woman, and child in the country. Many of these computers find their way into landfills where they can leak cadmium, lithium, and other nasty chemicals into the groundwater. Schrock Innovations is very proud of the fact that we recycle more e-waste every year than we create. You can drop off any old or broken computer equipment to our service centers at any time, free of cost. We only charge $15 just for monitors because they are especially difficult to process. No appointment is required, and we accept all computer-related equipment like printers, keyboards, speakers, and accessories. Additionally, the rare earth elements in computers can be recycled right here in the U.S. to reduce our reliance on supplies from foreign countries. Take a moment, drop off your old computer equipment today, and Schrock will make sure it's properly recycled and put to good use right here in the U.S. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, guys. Welcome back into Compute This. During the break there, I went ahead and did a quick check because if you send any email to Schrock, any contact form, I get a copy of it. So I don't always read them all because there was a lot of them, especially during Safe Upgrade. But I was able to find one of the 2 emails that Kevin said he sent. So, and he did send it to the Omaha Service Center. So that part is okay. So I'm not sure what happened that you didn't get a reply there, Kevin, but I have sent an email into the Omaha Service Center to make sure you get some individualized attention on this and a phone call as soon as possible. So thank you for your patience, and I apologize for the delay in your service. 888-250-2091 is the number to join us on the program. So when the pandemic hit, a lot of people started working from home because we were locked down, didn't have a choice. Nebraska and Iowa, and I think it was like 7 or 9 states, they didn't do a complete lockdown. And so those states had a lot more people working in offices. So, for example, I do consulting work for other computer repair shops around the country. And there was one shop I talked to in Pennsylvania, and he was locked down. Like, it was 100% remote, everything. He was trying to figure out how his business was going to survive through the pandemic, where he still had to pay all of his bills, all of his rents and everything. You know, consumers didn't have to pay rent, but businesses sure did. And then he had to figure all that out and figure out how he was going to generate revenue for himself while keeping his customers safe without being able to look at their computers because he was locked down. At least in Nebraska, you could come into the service center if we needed you to, or if you wanted us to, we could come to your house and do a pickup where you leave it on the porch and we'd come up and pick it up off the porch or something. You know, it was nuts. Well, a lot of people went to working from home during the pandemic. And it was an adjustment. You know, we at Schrock, we had a stable of our Schrock Interactive people that went to work from home. And most of the people, when we tried to bring them back into the office, they left. They didn't want to stay because they didn't want to come into the office. Some of them were terrified that they were going to get COVID. Some of them, literally they thought they were going to die if they came back to work. They literally thought that coming back to work was a death sentence and they would die. Okay. So I suppose it depends on your perspective on things. But so anyway, those people, we ended up with new people because they didn't want to come back to work. And we wanted them back in the office because I find as a manager, I enjoy being able to come in and interact with my teams and see them interacting with each other. And I suppose digitally and virtually that same interaction could happen. You just can't see it and you can't experience it without being a creeper and being like, hey, I'm going to monitor everything that happens on your computer and watch everything you do. I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to babysit you. You know, it's just, if everyone is working together in a team environment, everybody's kind of looking after each other. And if someone on the team is not pulling their weight, it kind of offends other people on the team. And it's apparent to everyone on the team that there's somebody that's not pulling their weight. So that's typically how a lot of managers manage teams. They rely on the teams themselves to self-report. So one of the things that was interesting was in this study that Microsoft did, 87% of employees thought they were just as productive working from home as they are working from the office. So 87%. Very few people thought they were less productive. 80% of bosses feel that their employees are less productive at home than they are in the office. Think about that for a second. The vast majority of employees say we're just as productive at home. The vast majority of bosses say BS. So there's a disconnect there. Somebody is not accurate, right? I mean, somewhere in the middle maybe, I don't know. So then here's a third statistic. Later in the story, they went through and the secondary questions they asked. They said that bosses continued to put more monitoring software on employees' computers to monitor what they're doing at home. And that led to more, they called it productivity theater, where employees were taking specific actions to make themselves look more productive to the software rather than actually being productive. And so then the third point was employees spent 67 minutes a day, so 1/8 of the workday, conducting productivity theater. So right there, you lost an hour of the day doing something that's not because you're working from home and you're saying it's because your boss is monitoring you and whatever else, but you're spending 1 hour a day doing something that's completely not productive, but you say you're just as productive working from home. It's kind of weird. 85% of employees said they would come back to the office to socialize and build teams. So what the heck? 87% of employees think they're just as productive at home, but 85% said they'd come back for the opportunity to socialize and build teams. Now, this dovetails a little bit. 73% of employees said they want a reason to come back to the office other than because I said so. And I mean, isn't that life since you were a little kid when mom said, because I said so? You know, you wanted a better reason, right? So you feel offended when you get a because I said so from your boss. But if the reason you're coming back is, hey, we want to build this new exciting team to build this new product and we want everyone to work together in the office on it, well, employees are willing to come back for specific reasons. So there's a management lesson here, guys. If you're a manager or you manage a team of people who are working from home and you're going to move them back into the office, you got to give them something to work on that requires them to be in the office. Don't just tell them you got to come back because we said so, because that just makes them upset and then they want to leave. And 51% of tech employees have left their job this year. 69% of tech employees say they're actively looking for another job. Should their employer tell them to come back to the office, they'll try to find another job somewhere else. They might have a problem doing that, though, because there's a little bit of a discrepancy. Everybody thinks that working from home is super widespread because of the pandemic. Actually, only 20% of all jobs in America worked from home during the pandemic. 80% of employees were either unemployed or they worked in one of the states where, like me, you just went to work every day, even though it was COVID, and you just went to work because that's what you do. Only 15% of jobs now are remote. So we've seen a 5% drop since, well, is the pandemic over? That was a matter of debate this week, I think, based on comments in the political frame of reference. But at least you can say, when you go to the doctor now, the first question out of their mouth isn't have you had a PCR test? You know, it's not the top thing on people's minds anymore. So with that said, since that happened, a 5% drop in work from home. And only 2% of new jobs posted on LinkedIn are remote jobs. Only 2%. And they're mostly tech jobs. Most of them are tech jobs. But pretty much nobody wants to hire work from home people anymore. Now, this is interesting because some work from home people, and I know this from experience, were holding multiple jobs simultaneously, working from home, conducting productivity theater. So bosses have this natural skepticism because how do I know you're not working for two companies while you're working from home? Or, if you're a coder and your boss gives you a task to accomplish, so you write some code to accomplish the task in no time at all, and then you continue to cash your paycheck as if you were manually doing the task while you take another job for another company somewhere else. That's the kind of stuff that was happening when work from home. And that's why technical people especially really like work from home, because it allows you to double dip. You can get multiple jobs and make a lot of money. Well, bosses are of the opinion, well, if you can write software that automates your job, then I can give you different tasks to do and your software can do your job and you can do something different for the company. But that can't happen if you're not working in the office, because the boss never knows that you're just running an automated task to do your entire job, or you're outsourcing your entire job to Fiverr, or whatever else you might be doing. So it was an interesting dynamic, because I can definitely empathize from the employer's perspective. Remote employees are incredibly difficult to manage. You don't know what people are thinking. You don't know what people are doing. You don't know if they're having difficulty on a task unless they tell you they're having difficulty. And then most of the time they don't tell you they're having difficulty because they're worried if they express difficulty, you're going to make them come back into the office. So they just keep on keeping on until, they either quiet quit or they get fired. On the other hand, employees are saying, hey, we'll come back. Just give us a good reason. So there you go. So bosses of the world unite. If you want your employees back in the office, give them a good reason to come back other than return to office date is the 5th of October. Praise be. Aside from that, just give them a reason to come back. Give them a project to work on. Give them a team to build. Give them someone to interact with. Schedule social events. Have them come back for socials. You're going to come back in the office. You're going to work on Monday, but we're going to have a 2-hour special lunch. We're going to have catered in the afternoon or something. I know it sounds gimmicky for bosses out there, but I'm telling you guys, this is what the employees are saying they want. And right now, with the employment market the way it is, it's definitely something you should pay attention to. 888-250-2091. Larry, welcome to the program. How can I help you today on Compute This, Larry?
Hi, just a couple of quick questions. Pro tip number 373, are all the others available on the internet for us to look at?
You're at number 373 of what?
That's what the latest commercial pro tip number, and they go on pro tip. Are the rest of them available?
The rest of them, well, some of them we've taken down because they're no longer relevant. In fact, I heard one during the commercial break. A customer emailed me and said, you really need to get rid of that semantic commercial. And I'm like, what commercial do we have that talks about semantic anymore? We haven't had semantic in years. And then I just heard it during the last commercial break. I'm like, that's the one. What's the cart number? We got to delete that spot. So no, some of them were recorded 6 years ago. So we don't have them all anymore. I was like, 373 of what? But the ones that we do have, we air pretty much every week. And so we got some new ones coming, and they'll be good. There'll be some good ones in there, too, some funny ones. Like we used to have the Jimmy John's one. We haven't run that one in a while. Thanks for the call, Larry. We got to roll here. Today's winner, $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate is Kevin. Congratulations. You got yourself $25. And we'll see you all again next week for another edition of Compute This.
From the Amish Furniture of Nebraska studio, your home for made in the USA